Now, a lot of people out there think that being a leader means that you need to be really loud and heavy-handed and like a drill sergeant. But today I'm going to talk to you about how you can be a great leader for your dog without being any of those things. I'm Cal McCann. This is Grand Slam. Welcome back to McCann Dogs. At our training facility, we help to train over 500 dogs a week. So if this is your first time on our YouTube channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that we can help you to have a well-behaved four-legged family member. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most important topics when it comes to dog training, and that is the idea of leadership. Now, it's sort of a strange word, and it's something that gets thrown out a lot, and unfortunately, it's something that's misunderstood. A lot of people think that leadership is all about, being really in charge or being really controlling or yelling and screaming at the dog and getting them in trouble. But I want to talk to you about how you can learn to be your dog's leader in a much less confrontational way, in a way that builds your relationship, builds your dog's confidence, and teaches them to like to listen to you. In the 20 years that I've been a professional dog trainer, I've helped tens of thousands of dog owners to train their family pets. And one of the most common things people ask is, how do I get my dog to listen to me? And of course, there's many responses to that, but one of the most important things is that you learn to be a good leader for your dog, because dogs love to listen to whoever they feel is in charge. And in fact, dogs seek leadership. So it's really important that you are able to provide that for your dog so that they can sit back and relax and let you do all the work. People are often apprehensive to go through some of the steps that are needed to provide good leadership over their dogs. When we start to ask people to implement structure or rules or things like that, sometimes people think that the dogs are going to not like them if they take away some of the luxuries that they've already been giving their dog. But the truth is, it's actually the humans that are a little bit more worried about these steps than the dogs are. What we need to remember is that dogs are not babies, they're not kids, they have a completely different way of thinking. So it's really important that we treat them like dogs, and then eventually, once they understand the rules of where they fit in and that you are a good leader, you get to spoil them rotten just like you've wanting to from the beginning. Now, how do you know whether your dog needs more leadership or not? Well, it's actually pretty easy. You just need to look at, how are they handling the freedoms and the luxuries that you're giving them already? How good of a listener are they? How well do they make good choices in your house around distractions or your furniture or your kids? How well do they listen when you take them outside and there's a lot of distractions? Right there is going to tell you how much respect and how well do they listen to you when there's other things that could tear their attention apart from, being a good dog and making good choices. It's very common for people to come to us with dogs that are, well under a year of age, and sometimes the luxuries or the opportunities that those dogs are given, it allows the dog to make too many poor choices. So what happens is the dogs start to learn bad habits because they're maybe given too much freedom in the house or too much opportunity to self-reward, which means you become a little bit less important in their life. Therefore, you're going to start to struggle with some leadership issues. So the goal is to come out right from the beginning with your puppy and to establish really good rules and structure. And then as your puppy starts to show good behavior, they start to make good choices, we then start to give them more freedom and more luxury. So basically, the more well-behaved they are, the better listener they are, the more opportunity they get to kind of do their own thing. What a lot of people don't realize is that there's many things that you'll do in your dog's life that your dog will view as an important resource. And it could be something simple as whether or not they're allowed up on the furniture, the bed, the couch, what toys they have available to play with all the time. Do they have the ability to decide whether they can go outside or not, like with use of a doggy door versus, asking you to go outside first. There's all kinds of scenarios or decisions that can be made all throughout the day that either the dog can choose to do on their own without your help, or you can use those resources that your dogs find valuable and you can use them to your advantage to teach them that you're a leader and you're in charge of those things. And that right there is a great non-confrontational way to say, if you want this, you have to come through me first because I'm the boss. But guess what? It's a pretty fun thing when those things happen. Now let's talk specifics. Let's talk about non-confrontational ways that you can teach your dog that you're a good leader and to listen to you without you having to be a big meanie. So first things first is say what you mean and mean what you say. So when you ask your dog to do a behavior and they deliberately ignore you, it's really important that you follow through. And it could be something as simple as asking your dog to sit. So if you ask your dog to sit, for example, and they're too busy sniffing the floor or barking at, a distraction, All you need to do is repeat sit in the same, kind and neutral voice you did the first time, and then follow through by helping them to move into position. But often what happens is people will start to say sit, 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 and they'll get, louder and angry with each time that they ask the dog, until the dog finally, gets overwhelmed and learns to listen. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't want to have to scream at my dog in order for them to listen to me. I want them to learn that if I ask them to do something, they need to follow through. So my follow through needs to be really calm and collected, so the dog's not getting worried or stressed. They basically just learn, if mom tells me something to do, I really need to listen. The other thing that we really recommend is trying to put your dog in situations all throughout the day where they're less likely to make poor choices. And this is how we train and raise our own puppies. In my house, I control scenarios so that most of the time the dog is sort of being influenced to make good choices. So I spend most of my day reinforcing, praising, playing with my dog, rather than saying, leave that, don't, no, all that stuff. I want to try to avoid that. Now, of course, if I need to help my dog to understand a lesson, if they make a mistake, I'll help them with that. But I don't want that to be my primary way of delivering information. I might utilize things like my crate more often, a leash or a long line. I don't have any kids yet, but we have, baby gates in our house, and we barricade rooms off so the dog can't go wandering and doing their own thing. So we try to control the environment so that the dog is less likely to get into mischief and to learn bad things. There's actually other easy things that you can do to help, show your dog that you're a good leader. It could be things like, don't just hand them food for no reason. Make them do something for it. It could be something really fun too, like, doing a trick or asking them to sit or to lie down, and then you can reward them. It's fun to give your dog a treat just because they're cute, but you're missing a perfect opportunity to teach your dog that, you're a good leader and they should listen. I often will have my young dogs wait in their crate when I open the door so that I can easily put the leash or long line on before they barge out and I need to release them, so that I'm working a little bit of control into those scenarios. You can also do things like control their resources. So, typically when my dogs are young, I don't have, dog toys scattered everywhere around my house so that the dog can go and play on their own. I might have things like chew toys, chew bones, or Kong toys that aren't going to hurt my dog if I'm not paying attention, but I save the really fun toys for times that we can play with them together. Maybe it's through a game of tug of war or a game of fetch, but those things I want my puppy to associate with me so that it gives it a more valuable role in the dog's life. Now let's talk dogs on the bed and dogs on the furniture. Now, I will be the first one to admit my dogs absolutely snuggle on the couch with me and they sleep in my bed. But here's the thing. I don't offer those luxuries to my dogs until they have good training and they listen really well. So in the time being, if you have a dog that tends to be a bit unruly, or maybe they're not listening that well to you, those are two areas that you can, remove from your dog as an extra luxury. So for example, if your dog is up on the couch, make sure that if you tell them to get off, that your dog happily gets off the couch when you ask. Or maybe you come into the living room and they're, lying on the couch, in your spot, rather than going and find somewhere else to sleep or to lie. Have them just move out of the way so that you can sit there. Maybe you have them sleep on a dog bed beside your bed instead of up on your bed initially. Or we usually start by having our dogs sleep in a crate beside our bed. And then as time goes on and, our relationship and our skills start to get better, then we start to allow them to have those additional luxuries in the house. But of course, that's all personal preference. If you want to go your entire dog's life without letting them on the couch or on the bed, that's totally fine. But we often suggest that you wait until you've, established some good control before you allow your dog to do things like that. Our ultimate goal is to be such a strong leader for our dog that when they make poor choices, we're able to redirect them with the simple use of our voice. But unfortunately, when your dog is young, you first need to teach them that your voice has merit, that your voice, there's a reason to listen to you. So this comes back to my follow through comment. If your dog, is making a poor choice, whether it be, getting on the furniture and you don't want them to, sticking their head in the garbage, barking at the people walking by, outside their fence, it's really important that when you're asking your dogs to not do those particular behaviors, that you're then following through with, something that's going to actually get them to stop. It could be utilizing your leash and, maneuvering them away away from that particular area, or, taking them and placing them into position if you've asked them to sit. Try not to be repetitive with your words. Our ultimate goal is that our dogs learn to listen the first time and every time. And if your ultimate goal is to have your dog to listen to your voice without having to follow through it all, it's imperative that you have good timing when you're going to help your dog understand these situations more clearly. So for example, if their head's in the garbage and you tell them leave it, try not to, take 10 years to walk across the kitchen and remove their head from the garbage. Move close to them, repeat leave it, and then follow through using the leash. Dogs learn within 1 second, so it's really important that when we're teaching them that we remember what time and what types of information they need from us in order for it to be clear and not confusing. Be careful you're not allowing your dog to, spend extended time in the backyard without you paying attention to them initially. Be careful that you're not allowing your dog to just have free range of your entire house so that they can, get in your laundry and, eat your kids' toys. It's very important that you're trying to spend quality time together as much as possible so that the quantity isn't as important anymore. Here in a YouTube channel, we often talk about 3 elements that we find is very important in your dog training, and that is to be consistent, to be clear, and to be fair. And if you can nail down those 3 elements, you're bound to be a great leader for your dog. Now, we talked about many exercises today in this video to help you establish yourself as a leader. Now, I've made a playlist that has a lot of those exercises in them, and you can check those out right here. If this is your first time on our YouTube channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We post brand new videos every single week to help you to have a well-behaved 4-legged family member. Now, on that note, I'm Kale. Bye for now. Happy training.